My father slid that envelope across the dinner table like he was doing the world a favor.
Calm.
Deliberate.
Certain.
Like he'd already decided how the night would end. I watched my husband's face. Zaid didn't flinch, didn't look down, didn't reach for it. He just sat there with that quiet stillness he always carries, the kind I used to mistake for simplicity. The kind I now know is something else entirely. My name is Sarah. I've been married to Zaid for 3 years. And, until 6 months ago, I thought I knew exactly who he was. I was wrong. About almost everything. My parents never liked Zaid. They tolerated him, which in our family is almost the same as disliking someone, just with better table manners. My father is a director at a mid-sized tech firm. He spent 30 years building his identity around that title. The suits, the business lunches, the way he says "my company," even though he owns none of it. To him, a man without a loud resume is a man without a future. Zaid had a quiet job, a modest apartment, a second-hand car he refused to replace because, and I quote, "It still runs fine, Sarah." My mother called it charming in the beginning, then concerning. Then she stopped using nice words altogether. So when my father arranged this dinner, just the 4 of us, a restaurant he chose, a table he booked, I already felt the tension before the bread basket arrived. The envelope appeared between the main course and dessert. "We think it's time," my father said, sliding it toward Zaid, "that you consider what's best for Sarah. For her future." I stared at him. What is this? My mother touched my hand. "It's not personal, sweetheart. Not personal." They were trying to buy my husband out of my life, and calling it not personal. Zaid looked at the envelope. Then he looked up at my father, not with anger, not with hurt, just with this steady, almost curious expression. Like he was watching something play out that he'd already seen coming. He didn't open it. He slid it back. Here's what no one tells you about moments like that. You don't feel one thing. You feel everything at once. I was embarrassed, deeply, physically embarrassed, by what my parents had just done. I was angry. I was confused about why Zaid wasn't angrier. I was watching my father's face harden when the envelope came back, watching my mother's polite smile go stiff, and somewhere underneath all of that, I was watching my husband. And he was calm.
Too calm.
Not the calm of someone swallowing pain. The calm of someone who already knows the ending. "Do you think I married Sarah for money?" he asked my father. His voice was even, almost gentle. My father leaned forward. "I think people who don't come from much always find their way to women like my daughter. People like him." I opened my mouth. Zaid raised one hand slightly, not to stop me, but to say, "Let me." He reached into his coat, pulled out a business card, placed it on the table in front of my father. My father looked down, and something I had never seen before crossed his face.
Fear.
The logo on that card was the logo of my father's company. Zaid spoke quietly. "I've owned 49% of it since before you were even made director." I don't remember exactly what happened in the next few seconds. I remember the sound going strange, like the restaurant noise dropped away. I remember my mother's fork hitting her plate. I remember my father's mouth opening and closing without words coming out. And I remember looking at my husband, really looking at him and feeling the floor shift beneath me. Not because he had money, not because he had power, but because for 3 years I had slept beside a man I thought I understood completely, and in 30 seconds, I realized I had only ever seen what he chose to show me. We left the restaurant shortly after. My parents didn't follow. We didn't speak for a long time. I watched the city lights blur past the window and tried to organize my thoughts into something that made sense. It wasn't working. Finally, I said, "You are going to keep this from me forever?" He glanced at me.
No.
"But I wasn't going to tell you at dinner while your father was trying to buy me off." Zaid. I turned to face him. "You let me think we were struggling." "We weren't struggling," he said. "I just wanted one part of my life that wasn't about leverage. About people measuring me before they knew me."
He paused.
"Including your family, including me?" He was quiet for a moment. Then, "I needed to know you loved me for me. Not the name, not the company, not what I could provide." I didn't answer him right away. Because the honest truth? In that moment, I wasn't sure if I was angry at his secret or ashamed of why he felt he had to keep it. My father called twice that night, then emailed. One line, "We need to talk. This affects the board." By Thursday, Zaid walked into a board meeting my father had spent weeks preparing and vetoed a major acquisition with a single raised hand. A legal clause my father had apparently forgotten existed. A clause that had always been there. That had always been Zaid's. By Monday, the press release went live. Zaid Ahmed named co-CEO of the company following strategic board restructure.
My phone didn't stop buzzing.
Cousins who used to joke that I married down. College friends who suddenly remembered they always believed in him. My mother, who sent 3 voice notes I haven't listened to yet. And my father, who built 30 years of identity on a title, was quietly reassigned to a non-voting advisory role. Still paid. Still present. No longer in the room where it mattered. I want to be honest here because this story isn't just about my husband being powerful and my family being wrong. It's about what I had to face in myself. I had listened to my parents talk about Zaid for 3 years. I defended him. But did I ever fully stop wondering? Did some part of me absorb their doubts without realizing it? When I looked at our small apartment, did I ever feel something I wasn't proud of? I think I did. And that's mine to carry. Because Zaid never needed me to believe in his bank account. He needed me to believe in him. And I'd like to say, I did that perfectly. I didn't. The night after the press release, I met him on the rooftop of our building, the same one where we'd sat 3 years ago, talking about the future with nothing but cheap chai and each other. I had the envelope with me, the one from that dinner. I'd kept it, I realized, without opening it. I never looked inside, I told him. He took it from my hands, looked at it for a moment, then tore it in 2. It never mattered, he said. And standing there with the city glowing behind us, I understood something. Quiet men are not small men. The ones who don't shout their worth into every room, the ones who simply build, who protect, who wait for the right moment to speak. They are not lacking. They are choosing. Zaid chose me before I fully chose him. I'm done being late. My father thinks Zaid won something that night.
He didn't.
This was never a competition. My husband simply continued being who he always was, steady, certain, and completely unbothered by anyone who couldn't see it yet. I see it now. Fully. Finally. And the most important thing I've learned through all of this isn't about wealth or power or who holds what percentage of what company. It's this. Never let someone else's inability to see a person's value make you question what you already know in your own heart. I knew who Zaid was. I just needed to trust what I knew. I won't make that mistake again.